3, 4, 5. And now we're going live on Facebook. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Today is Friday, the 23rd of February, 2024. I'm always saying this just to check the people in front of me are awake to the time of the day. Mostly they're not, so it doesn't help me. Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome. We'll have a kirtan, and then today we'll just exclusively appreciate our Jaiva Dharma study. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare O Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Haribol Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Oh Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Oh Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhava Kagrit Hari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Barisha Nandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Sachinandana Gauda Hari Ki Jai Shila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti where was that too? Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurikishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Vedantaracharya Ki Jai. Jai Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarab Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haras Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Siga Holsi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gaudranadvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritujip Janadvip Modandvip Rudradvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasa Varmatmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Ganga Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai Shrimati Punamasi Devi Yogamaya Maharani Ki Jai Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai Ji Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki jai, Ketra Mandal ki jai, Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan ki jai, Bhakta Prava Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Chari Dham ki jai, Chari Sampradaya ki jai, Chari Acharya ki jai, Akara Mat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai, Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Bhakt Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Aginati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Sarupe Daita Sarupe Prema Sarupe Sahaja Virupe Nijana Rupe Prabhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavartino Kalo Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Tikatamba Sadipita Sadahradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha. Yam pravajantamanapetiamapeti krityam dvaipaino viraha katara ajuhava putreti tam mayatayo taravo binijustam sarvabhutam hridim munimanatoshmi bhaktiya vihina aparara lakshay shiptascha karmarita rangamadye kripamai tvam sharanam prapana brinde namaste charanarvindam bhajami radham aravindanetram Smarami radham madhurashmitasyam vadami radham karuna baradram tato mamanasti gatyena kapi tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina iti vignaya radhe tvam nayamam charantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of Nama Om Vishnu Nama Om Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Vrayate, and to all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and to all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhabevicha Patitanam Pavnivyo Vaishnavena Namaha. So coming to our Jaiva Dharma directly today, and we're moving through the 12th chapter. I'm not sure. Yes, we're up to the last 4 verses on page 831. Jaiva Dhamma Pateshe Shuddha Bhakti Hoy, Jaiva Dhamma Na Padile Kavi Bhakti Noy.
One who reads Jaiva Dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva Dharma can never attain Bhakti.
So today we're going to discuss the pathway to Shuddha Bhakti. Bhakti Vinod Thakur is going to describe the sadhya and the sadhan to Brajanath. And in that description, he's describing what is the sadhya for karma yoga, and what is the sadhya for Gyan Yoga, and what is the ultimate sadhan, which is for Bhakti Yoga. And he's going to go very carefully through these topics, which is exactly like Bhagavad Gita, actually. You have Karma Yoga, and you have Gyan Yoga, and you have Bhakti Yoga in the center chapters. And then he's also going to describe what is Mishra Yoga, or what is Bhakti Abhas, Karma Mishra Yoga, Gyan Mishra Yoga, etc. So he's going to describe all these things perfectly. So it's saying here that if one deliberates faithfully, faithfully means with clear attention and heart wanting to understand for the simple purity of this divine knowledge that is being given. This is not, as we've discussed all the way through the other 10 verses, this is not aimed at moksha. This is not aimed at anything except Shuddha Bhakti. So we will get Shuddha Bhakti in our study here. Rupanuga Abhiman Pate Drita Hoy, Jaiva Dhamma Vimuga Ke Dharma Hine Koi.
Faithfully reading Jaiva Dharma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga, follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva Dharma is certainly devoid of religious principles.
So the fact that Rupa Goswami has been mentioned here, a Rupanuga, a follower of Rupa Goswami, is essential. How can we possibly appreciate the gifts that Mahaprabhu has given in his Shikshastakam without hearing attentively the directions and instructions of Rupa Goswami? Rupa Goswami is at the head of our line. Our line is only containing those personalities with Manjari identities, all of them, because that's what they're giving. It's not, there's no Sakya Ras in there. There's no Saki Ras in there. That's not the line. The line is Manjaris. So if anyone thinks that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is in Sakya Ras, he's in the wrong line, right? Either Prabhupada's in the wrong line or we're in the wrong line. But really, essentially, this line is own because what is the gift? You have to have the low B. You have to have greed to attain Rag Mag. And that greed is coming from a person who has that. Mahaprabhu himself was not giving Manjari Bhav. He was tasting that Radha Bhav or he was tasting Krishna and manifesting the moods of the taste of Radha. That's what he was manifesting. But he didn't give this Manjari Bhav. He empowered the Manjaris to propagate it. Radharani can give that because she's in charge of the Manjaris, right? They've all manifest, they all her Kaya Vyuha. So she's manifesting all the Manjaris. And she completely wants this mission of Mahaprabhu, which is to give this highest conception. The more we appreciate all the different aspects of the scripture, the more we realize how tiny, tiny a window this is that we've been given in this age. It's really a small little window. A few hundred years when Rupa Goswami's teachings will be opened out to the whole world. It's not for everyone. Shuddha Bhakti is. Nityananda's Kripa is till the rest of the age. But this gift of Mahaprabhu, this Manjari Bhav, this is very exclusive, this Ragmag. Most people will be happy with Shuddha Bhakti. And that's what we were describing yesterday, that Advaita Acharya and Nityananda are propagating. But through Rupa Goswami, then this other selective gift. So we should become familiar with the teachings of Rupa. He's saying here, surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupa Nuga. This means Bhaktivinoda Thakur is considering that all those who are reading Jaiva Dharma, they're hungry for this Rupanuga conception because this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to give. This is what he's going to give exclusively. This is the same as this Gaudiya line is giving. Yava jivane jay pade Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktiman se jana brita jnana karma.
One who faithfully reads Jaiva Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of gyan and karma.
This is what we're going to appreciate today, very much so. That gyan and karma are significant when we're understanding they're part of a chain which leads to bhakti. But if we take them out separately and just practice karma yoga and think that that is going to be the sadhya, that's you're going to get what are the results of karma yoga? Swaga, basically, swagaloka, heavenly planets. That's the result of karma yoga. And what is the result of, and if you think that is the sole intention, if that's the goal, then you've taken karma yoga out of the ladder and made it just a separate. And if you take out gyan and just focus on that to achieve liberation, and you forget the bhakti ingredient, then you've created something separate from the ladder. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing it like this. It's all connected. Karma yoga, Gyan yoga, and Bhakti yoga. It's a ladder. And if we follow correctly according to our adhikar, our qualification, then it'll happen naturally. You can't force this. It'll happen naturally. We will be performing various karma yogas, and if we're doing those sincerely, it will evolve into an inquiry into moksha. And if we perform that carefully and listen to the shastra that's supporting that, we will also be indicated towards the path of bhakti. It'll happen, evolve by itself. We'll hear this today. We'll come to our chapter. Krishna Ramala Seva Lavi
Lavi se
Senara
anara, seva
Seva Sukhe
sukha
Magnaraha
magnaraya
Sada
sada
Krishna
Krishna para.
Para.
Such a man, being fully devoted to Shri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service.
So that's the goal that we are intent on achieving. That Shuddha Bhakti, that Amala Shuddha Bhakti is not a passive thing. Like moksha is Shantaras. It's basically, there's no object of our devotion. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this last verse is making it very clear. Amala Prem Seva. Seva. That divine loving seva, that service to the service is the symptom of love. If you love somebody, if you love a tree, if you love a cat, if you love a dog, if you love a sheep, if you love anything, you'll serve it. It'll be the symptom of your affection for that. If you love your country, you'll serve your country, right? That's the symptom of love, is service. So this Amal Prem Seva, when my focus of attention is on Radha and Krishna, then that's service, offering flowers to Radha and Krishna. That's service. That's an indication. Even if we're not doing it with full bhav, it doesn't matter. It'll evolve to that. At least we will go through the rituals process, and eventually we will come to have great faith in that, because there will be automatic reciprocation from their side. When Krishna sees someone making some attempt, like if you're attempting to chant Hare Krishna and you're not chanting Shuddha Nam, still mercy will actually come. If the intention is not tricky, if it's not pratibimba. Remember what pratibimba is? Pratibimba is like the reflective um, process. It's like a mayavad process. I'm doing this because I want some aggrandizement for myself. I want some fruit for myself. Then that result will be different. So we've come to our page 268, and we've been discussing Brajanath. He's come and he's sitting beside Raghunath Das Babaji under a beautiful bakul tree, I think it was. Was it? Who remembers? Nobody remembers. I'll just go back in. I want to know what type of tree he was sitting under.
The tree was 2 days ago.
Huh?
The tree was 2 days ago, so that's maybe why we don't.
You see, that's how good our memory is. Brother set up for my report. God, General Reed, Bruce for the first one. Shiva Sangam. Vajanas began as Brajnas took a seat on the platform beneath a bakula tree. I thought it was a bakula tree, but my mind doubted it because I haven't seen so many bakula trees. Probably they've knocked them all down. So it was a bakula tree that he was sitting under. And Raghunath Das is beside him, and they've made their connection. And now Raghunath, he's inquired, what is the sadhan and sadhya? And Raghunath has started to explain the sadhan and sadhya in a very beautiful way. And we've reached the part where we're still discussing what is karma yoga. So we're still at this part. So this is on the top of page 268. There are many different types of sensual pleasures. This is all under the umbrella of karma yoga. Sensual pleasures that one may enjoy in the state one attains after death. And these are called amutrika shuka, enjoyment pertaining to the next life. For example, the pleasures of the celestial sphere include residing in Swaga, the higher planets, or Indraloka, the planet of Indra, and witnessing the dancing of the celestial society girls known as Apsaras, drinking the nectar of immortality, smelling the fragrant flowers, and seeing the beauty of the Nandan Kanan gardens. seeing the wonder of Indrapuri, hearing the melodious songs of the Gandharvas, and associating with the celestial damsels known as Vidyaharis. So these are all increased subtle pleasures. As the consciousness, as the jiva goes up through the different planets, the subtle pleasures increase. This gross planet of Earth planet is very, we go into the lower planets where there's great pleasure, they're all even more gross than here. They only think about the bodily platform. It's in the fifth canto in the subterranean heavenly planets. And it's described as they have elixirs for um, the hair and the body and the skin, and they're very concerned with making their bodies look very beautiful externally, and they have sensual engagements, etc. And it's even almost more beautiful than the heavenly planets, but there's not even a whisper of Shuddha Dharma there. There's no sunlight even. It's the light of the nagas, from their jewels in their foreheads create the light in the subterranean heavenly planets. But it's fascinating to read that chapter in the fifth canto because it seems full of pleasure, but it's actually completely gross pleasure compared to the finer pleasures that we've just read now in this last paragraph. These are finer, more subtle. Above Indraloka in succession are the planets of Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and finally Brahmaloka, the highest planet in the material universe. The Shastras give fewer descriptions of Mahaloka and Janaloka than of the celestial pleasures in Indraloka, and fewer descriptions still of Tapaloka and Brahmaloka. In contrast, the sensual pleasures of this earth planet, Burloka, is extremely gross. The rule is that the higher the planetary system, the more subtle are the senses and their objects. That's a natural evolution of the senses, but it's in the material realm. This is the only difference between these realms. Otherwise, the happiness available on all these planets is merely the pleasure of the senses. Important point. Doesn't really matter where you go. It's only the senses. If the senses are more advanced, they'll be absorbed in more advanced happiness. But still, it'll be material happiness, whether you're in Swaga or whether you're in the lower planets or whether you're on this planet. It's all nimitic. This is the only difference between these realms. Otherwise, the happiness available on all these planets is merely the pleasure of the senses, and there is no happiness other than this sensual happiness. Scriptural happiness, chitsuk, is absent on all. What did I say? Spiritual happiness. What did I say? Scriptural. Spiritual happiness, chitsuk, is absent on all these planets, for the happiness found in such places is related to the subtle body, which consists of the mind, intelligence, and ego, and is merely a semblance of pure consciousness. He's speaking to Brajanath about this. Brajanath is not aware of the clinical analysis of this. He's aware of many verses, etc., in Nyaya and argument and debate, and something of this in a hazy way, but not exactly like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making it really clear. The enjoyment of all these types of pleasure is called bhukti, bhukti, mukti, spriha javat. And the sadhan for the jivas trapped in the cycle of karma consists of the activities they adopt to fulfill their aspirations for bhukti. It is said in the Yagya Veda 255, Swargo karmo swamedam yajata. Those who desire to attain the heavenly planets should perform the Ashvamedha Yagya. This is all powerful knowledge. If you want karma yoga, and if you meet someone who is really intent on attaining sensual pleasures and happiness, and there are billions of them on the planet, you direct them to engage in karma yoga. And these are the stairway. This is the staircase for karma yoga that he's describing. The Shastras describe many different types of sadhana to obtain bhukti, such as a particular type of fire sacrifice called Agnishtoma. Actually, this Agnishtoma is the fire sacrifice that when the Yagyapatnis in the 10th canto. It's described when Krishna came to the forest and was asking for food. The Brahmanas, they were performing this Agnishtoma sacrifice. They wanted um, to attain Swagaloka. It's described clearly by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the commentary. This was their desire. This was why they couldn't go to Krishna in the forest, but their wives didn't have that desire. Sacrifice called Agnishtoma, oblations offered to a certain class of devatas. Is it too hot in here? Okay. Digging wells, building temples, and performing similar beneficial works for others, and ceremonies performed on the days of the new and full moon. Bhukti is the object of attainment, sadhya, for those who aspire for material enjoyment. Okay, he's clearly putting the staircase here. Some of those who are oppressed by the miseries of material existence consider the 14 planetary systems, which are the abodes of all material enjoyment, worthless. These people, therefore, desire to become free from the cycle of karma. They consider that mukti is the only sadhya and that bhukti is simply bondage. Such people say, those whose inclination for material enjoyment has not yet waned may realize their goal of bhukti by following karma kanda. However, Bhagavad Gita states, you can say,
Shine punne matyam lokam visanti.
when their pious credits have been exhausted, they again enter the planets of mortality. So this is from the higher world. You automatically have to come when you've finished your credits. This shloka establishes clearly and indisputably that bhukti is perishable and not eternal. Whatever is subject to decay is material, not spiritual. One should undertake sadhan only to obtain an eternal objective. Mukti is eternal, so it must certainly be the sadhya for the jivas. This is what they're saying. He's not actually saying that mukti is eternal. Well, it is eternal in a sense. If you go into the Brahman itself is eternal. So you're going to emerge into an eternal place. Mukti can be obtained by 4 types of sadhan. These are discriminating between eternal and temporary objects, renouncing enjoyment for the fruits of this world and the next. We are performing these same precepts, but we have a different objective. Don't be confused here. This is the path of Gyan that he's describing, the path of moksha. And it's a similar um, discipline to engage in bhakti also, initially. Developing 6 qualities, such as control of the mind and senses. This is absolutely imperative for the bhakta. And cultivating the desire for liberation. Aha, that's the defect. That's where we're different, you see? So 3 of them are the same, but the last one, the goal, the sadhya, is different. These 4 activities are the true sadhan for liberation. This is the viewpoint of those who regard mukti as the object. Understand? This is what he's describing. This is for mukti, of attainment, object of attainment. And the Shastras propounding Gyan Kand present this analysis of sadhya and sadhan. Very clear. Yes? The Shastras are kamandenu, and they arrange different situations for the jivas according to their adhikas, level of qualification. Mukti is generally understood to be the cessation of the individual ego. However, if the jivas retain their individual existence and identities when they attain it, mukti cannot be the final attainment. If they don't annihilate their false ego, it's not the final attainment. And to cook the false ego will deny you entrance into the spiritual world forever. My Gurudev often described this. If we like put chickpeas in a frying pan and cook them, you can never sprout those chickpeas again. They're cooked. That's the Nirvishesh Brahm. Why are they cooked? Because you have no more desire. It's a desireless zone. And that's a very materially satisfying place. Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, Nasocity, no hankering, no lamentation. You don't want anything. You absolutely, utterly don't want anything. That's a stage of liberation. But you also don't want your relationship with Krishna. So it reminds me of that, like chemotherapy is supposed to blast out the disease, but it blasts everything else along the way. So this is what liberation is like. You get blasted, everything gets lost ultimately. Where are we up to? Mukti cannot be the final aim. This means that the jivas can only take mukti up to the limit of annihilation of the individual self, nirvana. But that's, like I said, you cook it, it can't sprout again. But the jivas are eternal, so they cannot really be annihilated. And I've often described when the jiva merges into that Brahmajyoti, and he's not serving directly the Lord, Rupa Goswami describes that the illumination from his soul is going to enhance Krishna's Brahmajyoti. So he can't get away from service to the Supreme Lord. He's actually still serving the Lord in that condition. This is confirmed in the Svetasvatara Upanishad.
Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam.
He is the supreme eternal being amongst all eternal beings. And he is the supreme conscious entity amongst all conscious entities. So beautiful to consider. This is Krishna, is the supreme. This and other Vedic mantras establish that the jiva is eternal and that annihilation of his individual existence, nirvana, is therefore impossible. Don't tell the Buddhists. You'll pop them out of the water forever. They won't believe you, though, because they just don't want relationship. Those who accept this conclusion understand that the jiva continues to exist as an individual after he attains mukti. That's very important. Consequently, they do not accept bhukti or mukti as the ultimate goal. Rather, they consider that bhukti and mukti are actually extraneous goals which are foreign to the nature of the jiva. How amazing. These are not the jiva's pure dharma. This karma yoga is contradictory to the jiva's pure nature of service to Krishna. He's looking for service for himself in the path of Kand. It's not his nature, it's not his dharma. Or he's looking for liberation. This is not his dharma. His Sanatan dharma is actually only to please the Lord. That's what he's born with. He's a Vibhinamsa. He's a part of the Lord coming through the Swamsa avatars. He's connected in that way, like the hand is connected to the body to serve the body. The hand has no other function. If the hand tries to independently follow the path of karma or gyan, it's going to fail. But if the hand performs its natural function, it'll be completely successful. This is a natural process. It's naturally, this seed is residing naturally in the heart. Prakatamiti sadyate. It's the natural goal of the jiva. It's not difficult then. We make it so difficult. Every endeavor has a goal and some means to attain it. The result that one strives to attain is known as sadhya, and the practice one adopts to bring about the result is known as sadhan. If you reflect deeply, you will see that the goals of living entities and the means that they adopt to attain them are like successive links in a chain. What is sadhya goal now becomes the sadhan, right? My goal is karma yoga. My sadhya is to enjoy. And then when that is achieved, then that becomes the sadhan to engage in the next process, like that. It's always continuing. What is the sadhya goal now becomes the sadhan, the means to obtain the next sadhya later on. If one adopts this chain of cause and effect, one eventually comes to the final link in the chain. The effect or sadhya that is attained in that final stage is the highest and ultimate sadhya. which does not become a sadhan means for anything else because there is no other sadhya beyond it. That's the end of the road. Bhakti is the last link in the chain. There is a last link in the chain. When one crosses all the links of this chain of sadhya and sadhan, one eventually reaches the final link, which is known as bhakti. Bhakti is therefore the highest sadhya because it is the jiva's eternal state of perfection, nitya siddha bhav. It's eternal. That's the only place that the jiva wants to invest his time and energy in, something that is going to be eternally beneficial for the welfare of my soul. Nothing less than that should be on our order list. Every action in human life is a link in the chain of sadhan and sadhya, or cause and effect. The karma section of this chain of cause and effect consists of many links joined together. When one progresses beyond this, a further series of links form another section called Gyan. Finally, the Bhakti section begins where the Gyan section ends. And finally, Sadhya in the chain of karma is the final Sadhya in the chain of karma is Bhukti, right? That's the goal of material endeavor, of sacrifices, is material pleasure. The final Sadhya in the chain of Gyan is Mukti, right? And the final sadhya in the chain of bhakti is prema bhakti. If one reflects upon the nature of the jiva's perfected state, one must conclude that bhakti is both sadhan and sadhya. Karma and gyan are not the final sadhya or sadhan, for they are intermediary stages. This is what I said at the beginning. They are steps on a ladder, and if you try to separate one from the other, you lose the connection with the ladder, and you're going to lose the sadhya finally. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes this so beautifully. It's very similar to this Bhakti Tattva Vivek. That little book, Bhakti Tattva Vivek, so beautifully delineates the same path. These 4 chapters describing this verse, Anyabilasita Shunyam. Brajanath, there are many prominent statements in the Upanishads that do not establish that bhakti is supreme, or that it is the ultimate sadhya of attainment. It is said in the Brihat Aranya Upanishad 4.5.15 and 2.4.24, Kena kam prashyate. Who should see? Whom will they see? And by what means? It is also, I don't really understand, how does that fit in? Who will they see? It's not telling who is the object. It's just indicating something. Who will they see? Who should they see? Whom will they see? And by what means? It is stated in the Brihat Aranyaka Upanishad 1.4.10, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahm. It is said in the Aitreya Upanishad, Pragyanam Brahm. Consciousness is Brahm. And in the Chandogya Upanishad 6.8.7, it is said, Tatvam Asi Svetaketu. O Svetaketu, you are that Brahm. Considering all these statements, what is wrong in regarding mukti as the supreme sadhya? These are various statements from the scripture that point to mukti as being the supreme sadhya. These statements are in the Vedas. Babaji is going to describe this very clearly now. I have already explained that there are many different types of sadhya according to different tendencies. One cannot accept the validity of mukti as long as one has any desire for bhukti, right? Even in the verse, this kleshagni shubhada, this is described as the sadhan for bhakti. Then moksha lukhuta krit, having a distaste for mukti. But if one is on the path of mukti, then and still is wanting bhukti at the same time, it's not compatible. One cannot accept the validity of mukti as long as one has any desire for bhukti. And many of the statements in Shastra are written for people on that level. For instance, the Astamba Shrota Sutra states Akshyam Havai Chaturmasya Yagina. Those who observe the vow of Chaturmasya obtain perpetual residence in heaven. Interesting. If you perform Chaturmasya, you can attain perpetual residence in heaven. We perform the same Chaturmasya, but for a different sadhya, and can get a completely different result because we're focused on a different sadhya, but it's the same instruction. This is what he's pointing out. Do you understand? It's very logical, I
You
think.
said before that
Huh?
there is no perpetual residence in heaven. That's what he's already stated.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
You've been fooled. The Shastras have fooled you to say that, but they don't know that. Don't tell them that. Maybe it's maybe it seems perpetual if the demigod's lifespan is one manvantara, and that's 309 million years, which would appear perpetual to one who is actually living for that long. So it would seem perpetual, but in the ultimate, it's not.
But
Huh?
In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, once your punya is
Reduced?
reduced, you'll again come back.
It's already said. Once your credits have expired, then again you have to resume.
Means
This
until you have that punya, it will be like perpetual.
very good.
Like what?
As long as you have that punya, it will be perpetual.
Right.
It's like when we say the jiva is the Bada jiva is eternally bound.
Bound.
He's eternally bound until he becomes unbound. You understand? I can remember when I first understood that, I thought, wow, that's incredible. When you first understand that, or rather, sorry, when you are bound and then you become unbound, you're no longer eternally bound. Yes, very good.
Is it possible to achieve bhakti?
Huh?
Is
Loudly?
it possible to achieve bhakti from the heavenly planets?
No.
Never.
You can't go.
Never.
You can only
Never. Never. Who's the spiritual master? You have to speak loudly every time you speak. Who's the spiritual master in the heavenly planets? Brihaspati. And he's described as being Brahman realized. So if he's the spiritual master, Brahman realized, that's as high as you can go. The spiritual planets are described as
Bodies,
Bog-
Boga Yoni.
Boga Yoni. Yoni means species. Boga means enjoyment. The species of pleasure. Boga Yoni. And in the lower planets, they're called Papa Yoni. The species of sin. That's what they're living. And on this plane, it's Karma Yoni. The species that incur karma. And it's only from this Burloka where you can actually go to the transcendental realm. Because you have no desire. Going to the transcendental realm, as we've discussed, all depends on your greed, that rag, that lobha. If you don't have that lobha, because everything's so beautiful in Swagaloka, why would you have any desire to go anywhere else? It's like liberation. You're so happy in the liberated state. That's why you've cooked your opportunity to go forward from there. Because you're completely satisfied. You don't think anything exists other than that. That's the huge illusion. But Krishna's so kind. He brings you back here so you can put your face in the mud and suffer and actually want something more and then start to question. I don't like it here. I want something else. Then you hear about karma yoga. And then you realize, well, I don't really want that either. Then you hear about liberation. Well, I don't really want that either. Well, what do you want? Oh, I've heard about the transcendental world. Oh, you want that? Very good. Then practice that path. Krishna's so merciful. It's designed in such an extraordinary way. Isn't it?
And in the Boga Yoni, it's Jagad Ananda.
Jud.
Jad.
Jud. Jud means dull.
Yeah.
Anand means bliss. Jud Ananda. But this whole material world is full of Jud Ananda.
But there it's a subtle Jad.
Subtle. We've already described that as the planetary systems go up, the subtle pleasures become increased. It doesn't increase in happiness. We think from here, oh, they're enjoying up there, but they're not getting any more sensation of happiness than we're getting here from an ice cream. You understand? It's the same degree of happiness that you experience having an ice cream on a hot day or something like that, or sex pleasure is the particular gross happiness that everyone seeks in this realm. In the higher planets, they have higher pleasures than sex pleasure. It goes beyond there. It's all in the subtle realm.
But they also have sex pleasure.
They have there too, but it's not as high as some of the other pleasures, like drinking the nectar of elixir and just their culture of dance and song, etc. Apsaras, yes. You're getting the picture. You don't want to go there. This is the idea when we come to the 9th canto in the Bhagavatam. There are so many pastimes about the devas and their extraordinary activities. Cursing, counter cursing, taking the body of a half man, half woman, a woman for 6 months, a man for 6 months, all because of, and this is all in the heavenly planets. And Shukadeva is trying to make it very graphically clear. This is what it's like in Swagaloka. It may look very pretty from the outside, all sugar and sweet and dancing apsaras and everything, but actually what they incur. Just today I was hearing this chapter 20, and Brihaspati, who's the spiritual master, he tries to impregnate this particular woman who's already pregnant. And it's not his wife, it's someone else's wife. And that child, the semen, wants to come into the womb, but the child inside the womb kicks that other child out. I mean, it's just amazing. And then that child is left like in the grass, basically. And like Vashishta Rishi, where did he come from? He came from the semen that was passed when they saw Menaka, her ankle bells, that the sage Vishwamitra, he discharged his semen and it went in the bushes. And then someone came, put it in a pot, and that became Vashishta Rishi. It's like all of these pastimes are there, and they're not really. Sukadev goes right into the nitty gritty. It's not to attract us, sane, material, grounded earth people. We don't want that world at all, not in any way. I think we're on to the top of 273. Correct? Someone listening? Okay. Gyan. Okay, where are we? On the
Chaturmasa.
Chatumasya, right back
Perpetual
there.
residence.
Which line? Which paragraph? Advancement in order to. Okay. Oh, right at the top. Okay. Those who observe the vow of Chatumasya obtain perpetual residence in heaven. Yeah, you are sidetracking me with perpetual heaven. Does this mean that mukti is a worthless goal? The karmis desire only sense gratification. They cannot discover the recommendations from Shastra for mukti. Is that clear? If you're a karmi, you won't find the recommendations for mukti because that's not what you're looking for. We have an expression in English when two people read a newspaper. Some read the white and some read the black. Depends what you want, what you're looking for. So the karmi, he's looking for sensual pleasure. He's not going to read about sitting in a circle of fire in the middle of summer and submerging yourself in a cold river in winter or any sort of austerity life. He's not going to read that. He's just going to blank on it. It's like when someone is speaking a Ras guitar, for example. I've seen in my Gurudev when he was speaking one time in San Francisco, these three people came in and they looked, like hippie type people, who were wanting to be happy and liberated. And as soon as my Gurudev started talking about Vrindavan Dham pastimes, all three of them just went to sleep completely. It was amazing to watch it. Their adhikar wasn't developed to actually even inquire in that direction.
That's special.
So there's no problem with it, because it's automatically closed. It's like when
In Madhurya Kadamini, it says that when you hear Arikatha and you're sleeping, that's because of your bad karma.
Yes.
And
And in
don't.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, you remember also Krishnadas Kaviraj, he's saying he's hesitant to write these things
Hmm.
because the camel-like and ass-like men will not know how to take with them. And then he realizes these camel and ass-like men won't even hear these things. They don't have the frequency to hear these truths.
Birds of the same feather.
Huh?
Like birds of the same feather fly together.
Little bit, yes. Yes. But it's more like frequency
Yeah.
of sound vibration. Yes, you can say it a little bit like that. Yeah, close on track. Um, Does this mean that mukti is a worthless goal? The karmis desire only sense gratification. They cannot discover the recommendations from Shastra for mukti. But does this mean that mukti is not described anywhere in the Vedas, just because they can't see it, the karmis? A few of the rishis who recommend the path of karma maintain that renunciation is only prescribed for those who are incompetent, those karma yogis, and that those who are competent should perform karma, should be active. Don't just sit and chant all day. Quick, go and do some work. This is not actually true. These instructions are given for people on lower levels of spiritual advancement in order to promote their faith in their respective positions. He's saying again and again, it's a ladder. It's a step by step by step. And we should appreciate this step. Never condemn someone who's on that karmi platform. Just try to bring them to a higher awareness of what the other steps are about. But don't berate them. Don't disturb them like that. It is inauspicious for jivas to neglect the duties for which they are responsible. If one carries out one's duties in full faith that they are appropriate for one's present level, one easily gains access to the next level of qualification. This is what I said. You do what you're eligible to do. Don't try and do something that you're not eligible for. Consequently, prescriptions in the Vedas promoting this type of faith have not been condemned. You understand? The karma yogi axioms are not condemned because there are many on that platform that have to perform their karma. So therefore, all those are in Shastra. If you read Manu Samhita, it describes how man can live by performing his, like if you want to drink wine, then you perform a goat sacrifice and you drink some wine during that. So you're facilitating that type of sense gratification. But that's not the objective of the Vedas. It's just the Vedas are so compassionate to all souls of all natures and adhikas. One easily gains access to the next level of qualification. Consequently, prescriptions in the Vedas promoting this type of faith have not been condemned. On the contrary, if one condemns such prescriptions, one is liable to fall down. He'll be offensive. All jivas who have attained elevation in this world have done so by strictly adhering to the duties for which they were qualified. We've attained a human birth. We've come from a very low history. If you really could see the whole history, whatever is our history today, we've come through millions of births and we finally achieved this human form of life through many different degrees of being like karmis, being like gyanis, hearing about bhakti yoga now. So we've come through these different stages. Gyan is actually superior to karma because it yields mukti. Nevertheless, the shastras that discuss competence for karma praise karma most highly and do not substantiate the preeminence of gyan. Similarly, where the Shastras discuss competence for Gyan, we find all the mantras that you have mentioned which praise Mukti. However, just as eligibility for Gyan is superior to that for Karma, the eligibility for Bhakti is superior to that for Gyan. Mantras such as Tattvam Asi and Aham Brahmasmi praise impersonal liberation, and they strengthen the faith of those who seek it to follow the path for which they are qualified. For this reason, it is not wrong to establish the eminence of Gyan. He's answering Brajana's question. Rajnath was quoting impersonal, um, like Brahmagyan, Brahmavad, axiom, Mayavadi. But this is okay for a certain stage. However, Gyan is not the ultimate sadhan, and the sadhya of Gyan, namely Mukti, is not the ultimate sadhya. The Vedic mantras establish the final conclusion that Bhakti is the sadhan and Prem Bhakti is the sadhya. Okay, now he's going to go in a long discussion, beautiful discussion about these apparent Mahavakyas. He's going to quote these, and he's saying that actually, I'll just give you a summary of what's about to come. We'll discuss tomorrow. These these Mahavakyas is what they've picked out of the Shastra. And Babaji is saying this is actually offensive. The whole of the Veda is a Mahavakya. You can't say that this is good and that's good. You can't just pick out one expression and say, I'll hang all my faith on this one point. You have to reconcile with the whole rest of Shastra. So, all of Shastra, he's saying, are the Mahavakyas. He's going to explain this tomorrow. We'll go into this last part tomorrow. This is very beautiful description here. Are you all following closely? It's simple, you know? It's not difficult to appreciate. But tomorrow, if we're fortunate, it's Narottam Das Thakur's appearance day tomorrow. But if I speak briefly on him, we can probably conclude this chapter tomorrow, which would be nice. But we can't walk past Narottam Das Thakur, who is a great preceptor in our line. He has to be acknowledged and glorified. Otherwise, we'll be making offense. So, Jaiva Dharma ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavaya Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnave Namo Namaha.